I'm joined by Sultan. He's a foreign affairs expert who is also of Saudi descent. Welcome. And our diplomatic correspondent, Mike Wagenheim, who now joins us from Tel Aviv. Hi, Mike. I want to start with you. First of all, how surprised are you, being in Israel, to see such an attack in a holy place, the third holiest place to Islam?
Not surprised whatsoever to see violence in general on the Temple Mount. That seems to happen with a regular occurrence, but Muslim on Muslim violence is a little bit more rare. Keep in mind, Mohammed Saud is an outlier, even though Israeli-Saudi ties are getting stronger. Much of the cheerleading goes on behind the scenes. It's very quiet. It goes on in back channels. Saud, on his Twitter account, has an Israeli flag. He has his name in both Hebrew and Arabic, and he has written on his Twitter account, "Only Bibi," and frequently retweets Twitter messages from the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and from his son Yair. So this is someone who goes a little bit over the top when it comes to Saudi's treatment of Israel, and therefore he was ripe for the pickings as he headed to the Temple Mount. Everybody knew who he was. Everybody knew that he was coming. Not hard to spot based on his clothing, and therefore kind of put himself out there a little bit. And the Palestinians have problems with the Saudis themselves nowadays. That relationship has been frayed in recent years for a number of reasons. So the surprise level is not all that high, considering who the person was and his particular background, that he would be accosted in some form or fashion. Not sure about the throwing of chairs and the direct spitting on his body, but some form or fashion, you can kind of see that one coming.
Sure. He's been very open about his opinions. He's been very much open about his visit to Israel, unlike the other participants. Oz, do you think that, as Mike said, very rare to see Arab-on-Arab attacks in Temple Mount, in such a holy site? As someone of Saudi Arabian descent, what does this make you feel? What kind of reactions?
Well, I think it was a little strange. It was at al-Aqsa. That was the first thing. But, you know, we can understand the Palestinians' ire. I mean, they're kind of caught in between a American proposal for peace and Israeli sort of stalemate for peace, an IPF proposal for peace. And the Saudis now having said in April that they want to normalize relations. And a lot of this lends to a couple of things. One, you know, we've got increased Irani pushes for hegemony inside of the region, which nobody wants. And we've also got the challenges, I think, of saying, listen, it's been 60 some odd years. It's about time. The Saudis normalized relations with Iraq a few years ago. Now I think it's high time that they normalize relations with Israel, which opens doors not just for, you know, an exchanging of faiths in between Muslims and Jews, but it opens doors to a lot more business and commerce and things that really benefit the region.
Sure, and business and commerce has been taking place kind of under the radar. Both things are opening up, and the tone has been changing both with Saudi and the Emirates. But everyone, and when I say everyone, I'm talking about the Emirates and Saudi Arabia, they're not talking about normalization openly. And do you think an incident like this, Oz, can maybe change the conversation and make it okay to be talking out openly in the public about normalizing relations with Israel?
The Saudis are going to move towards that now. I mean, there's always been a bit of terseness with the Palestinians. A lot of it is due to the fact that, you know, no one's really known a path forward, and this goes all the way back to the 70s. And now I think what's going to happen is that you will see some moves towards normalization that could take probably about a year or two. You know, if Mohammed Saud is that big a fan of Bibi as he's saying he is on his Twitter, I think that speaks volumes. But, you know, the Saudi people and the Israeli people, I think, want peace. I think the opportunity to really then utilize that as negotiators inside of, you know, the longer-term discussion of what you do with Palestinians is yet to come.
All right. You say 1 to 2 years of normalization. Mike, what have the reactions been from Israel? We know that Netanyahu met with the bloggers. Was this following the incident or regardless?
The reaction has kind of been put out there from the Israeli government as well. This is what you come to expect from the Palestinians. This is what's to be expected of anybody who goes against their ideology. Anybody who affiliates themselves with the Jewish state is subject to violence. So this really played right into the Israeli government's hands in terms of how they view the Palestinians and how they try to put that image out there of the violence that comes from the Arab sector, that comes comes from the Palestinian sector, especially in the holy sites like the Temple Mount. So this played right into the government's hands in terms of that case. But really, in the bigger picture, I think they played this up as Oz was talking about, as an opportunity with this Arab delegation making its way to Israel for the very first time. This 6 or 7 Arab journalists who came to Israel for this particular seminar, that this is an opportunity, again, to open up relations with the Arab world, that the Palestinians are simply trying to get in the way, trying to kill opportunities for peace, and they must be defeated. Peace will happen because the Arab world is now opening up to the Israelis vis-a-vis Iran, economic reasons, anti-terror reasons, what have you. But this is the message that the Israeli government has been trying to get out there for quite some time, that the relationship, the potential relationship with the Arab world, the Muslim Arab world, has to supersede any particular relationships or any particular sympathy that the Arab world still has, if they still do have it, for the Palestinian cause. It's simply greater than that at this point, and the Israeli government making that point as this situation unfolded here over the last 24 hours.
Sure. So very strong reactions from Israel. Oz, what kind of reactions are we now hearing from Saudi, from officials?
From the Saudi officials, we're looking at more of a measured approach as to what they should be doing in regards to this. I think they're still pushing towards relationship normalization, but the tack that they're taking towards the Palestinians now has moved to become a little bit terse. The Palestinian perspective, obviously, not wanting Saudis who are basically open to relationships with Israel on Al-Aqsa, but at the same point in time, this is an area, this is a time where we really need to be moving more towards peace. And with Mohammed bin Salman really kind of taking the steps that we've seen to really kind of push this forward, I think there's a bigger opportunity at hand.
Sure, but it's also at the same time pointing out at the relations and what's happening to the relations between Saudis and the Palestinians. Thank you so much, Oz, Sultan, Mike Wagenheim, both of you. This has been a fascinating conversation, and of course, things continue to change in the region.